Hello viewers, welcome back to Chicken Planet and Lego, where we do poultry, we do dairy goods, and with time we are planning to introduce more and more livestock to our farm. It has been a long time since I shared something from our Chicken Planet and Lego, and today I want us to talk about one way of reducing the amount of feeds and the cost of production at our farms. So today I want us to talk about fermentation as a way of increasing a small amount of feeds for your chicken, make it more while making it more nutritious for your birds. So kindly join me. I've already set up a process. There's a container here, as you can see. The container has got chicken mash, and we also have some maize inside. You can see maize seeds, the corn. So when you start fermentation, you make sure that you mix it well. You mix the feeds well with water. You make sure that all the feeds are submerged in water. It is that submerging that will give the correct, I mean the right environment for beneficial bacteria to be produced, and it gives the whole process of fermentation that good environment to take place. People have been asking me why I do fermentation for my birds, for the chicken feeds. I mean, fermentation is good. Fermentation is good because it helps us increase the amount of those beneficial bacteria in the feed. You know, it is beneficial bacteria in the guts of our chicken. They help so much in the process of digestion and the absorption of the digested feeds. Fermentation also helps us in reducing the amounts of pathogens that are available in the digestive system. So it is a way of eliminating the pathogens without using any medication. And one other very important reason why we do fermentation is that the process of fermentation helps to make the protein content in the feed to be more available for your birds. And fermentation also helps us to reduce the amount of feeds we are using on a daily basis. You'll realize that when you ferment your feeds, the feeds expand, and this means that whatever your birds will be consuming on a daily basis reduces to some extent. So it helps us to use less feeds on a daily basis. So if we just recap, it improves the digestibility of feed and nutrients absorption, and that's the most important part of fermentation. As much as it reduces the amount of food we are giving, the most important part is that part where it improves the digestibility of feed and nutrient absorption. When it makes the protein more available and makes it easier for birds to absorb the nutrients. So that whole process is very important because the birds will grow faster. The birds will be using less energy in converting the feeds to meat, to eggs. Another benefit of fermentation is that it helps in increasing the water intake, because when you are giving fermented feeds, the birds, while taking the feeds, they will take the feeds with water because the feeds are a bit wet. So we all know the importance of water for birds. For layers, the process of egg production needs a lot of water, and for growth we also need a lot of water. So water is very important, and if you can find a way of increasing the amount of water that is taken by birds, the better. I think fermentation will work better when during the cold season, when birds don't want to take a lot of water. If you ferment their feeds, especially for layers, then the birds will be taking more water than they would just have taken normally, and this will help to maintain high production of eggs during cold seasons. Fermented feeds is good for any age, though we encourage farmers to introduce fermented feeds at grower stage, because the chicks, no, even the chicks can be given, but give them when they already know how to eat, so that you don't waste the feeds. So fermented feeds are good for our growing birds. They are good for layers, but it is important that someone knows how, a farmer knows when to introduce fermented feeds. If you've not been feeding your birds on fermented feeds, then you have to know that when you introduce fermented feeds to layers, it is going to affect production negatively for some time when the birds are adjusting to new feeds. But after some time, the cost of production is going to be reduced, while production itself is going to increase more than what you were getting initially when you are not fermenting feeds. Yeah. Secondly, we will see how long fermentation takes place. Fermentation should take around 2 to 5 days, depending on the areas where you are staying, because it depends so much on temperature. Areas with a higher temperature will have fermentation taking lesser days, and in cold areas fermentation will take longer days. So if you are in hotter areas, that's good for you. Fermentation will take even 2 days. It will be okay for you to start feeding your chicken. So how long should the feed stay after fermentation? Now that's another question that we should know, so that we don't ferment so much that will go into waste. So anytime you take fermented feeds out of water, the feeds, the longer they take, the more sour they become, and you'll find that when it is too sour, it will not be very nice for your kids. For your, I mean, for your chicks. I call them my kids. That's what I'm used to. So you'll forgive me for that. But it is the chicken. We love it when it is not yet very sour. So to avoid, to prevent your feeds from becoming sour, every time just make sure that every day you just take the feed that is enough for that particular day, and the rest remains submerged in water. When it remains submerged in water, it helps us to prevent the feed from having molds which will maybe poisonous for your birds. May also make your birds to consume some aflatoxins, which you know is not safe for human consumption. So make sure that the feed that you're using, you just take the feed you're using for that particular day, and you leave the rest submerged in water. You leave it submerged because in this process we are not sprouting. When you use grains, whole grains, we are not sprouting, but we are fermenting. If they are not submerged in water, they'll sprout. But in this case, we are not sprouting, we are fermenting. What can you use in fermentation? In my case, I always use my already formulated feeds, like the ones I've shown you there. I'm using my grower's mash that I formulated myself with all the ingredients. But for a smallholder farmer who is not able to buy feeds, because we know most smallholder farmers just give grains and leave the birds to scavenge for other things. So if you are just giving your grains, you can use mix grains with nuts, with other seeds and legumes, and this will also just make the nutrients more available without necessarily looking for commercial feeds. So that's what we do in fermentation, and that's what I've been using on my farm for my birds. As you can see, even the feeder still has got some water, water from the fermented feeds. I like giving it with water. I was told that a friend told me that I should be draining the water, but if you come to think of it, when you drain the water, if it is formulated feeds, and we have some salts that we are using, we have some nutrients that are added to the feeds. So if you remove the water is going to go away with some of the nutrients. So for me, I always give it with the water. If it is too much water, you just drain the water, but make sure that you use the same water for the next fermentation process, so that we don't lose the nutrients. But always just make sure that the birds take everything that is fermented, so that the nutrients are not lost. So I hope you've learned something from fermentation. We'll keep learning together. Once you've mixed your feeds very well and submerged in water, you can cover your container to make sure that the fermentation process takes place very fast. I know fermentation has got bacteria that needs air, some bacteria that need air, but you have to cover it a bit. Cover it, but leave space for air to get in, for the bacterial process to go through, so that it is beneficial for your birds, it is beneficial for everything that is going to take place. So to know that your fermentation process is already taking place, you will see some bubbles, and this always happens from the second day of fermentation. You'll see some bubbles in your feed, and to know that the feed is ready for feeding the birds, the fermentation process that's taking place, you will start getting some bitter smell from the feed, and you know that the feed is ready for fermentation. So to anybody, I mean, who is watching this, I want to encourage you to not run away from poultry farming simply because the cost of feeds have gone up. Be innovative enough, learn from farmers, make sure you visit as many farms as possible, so that you learn from them. Don't run away, learn from other farmers, know what they are doing to contain the running away cost of production. Feed your chicken on fermented feeds as much as possible. You can do it on daily basis, where that you create a system whereby on a daily basis you have feeds that have already been fermented, and you give to your birds. If you cannot do it on a daily basis, 2 to 3 days in a week is not bad for your birds. And birds really love fermented feeds. Once you introduce them to fermented feeds, it will be a challenge giving them dry feeds, because they love fermented feeds more, and it is more beneficial to you as a farmer, in that the nutrients are more available for your birds. And again, you use less feeds on a daily basis, because during fermentation the feeds increase. They increase in quantity. So that's why when you look at my container here, I just did it up to half. So that I leave room for the feeds to expand. If you come and check this feed after around 36 hours, you'll find that it will be more. It may even cover the whole container. And if it covers the whole container, it is good for you. The quantity has increased, while you've not lost any nutrients in the process. You just gained in the process. So don't run away from poultry because the cost of production has gone up. Visit, do your research, and today I'm glad we've learned about fermentation. I hope it is going to help you, and I want to encourage you, if you have any question you want to ask about fermentation of chicken feeds, please drop it down there at the comment section. If you like the video, if you like what we've learned today, please share with other farmers, so that we grow together. If you want to give us any suggestion, use the comment section, please, to do that. And for those who are visiting this channel for the first time, karibuni sana. Welcome so much to Chicken Planet Alego. At Chicken Planet Alego, we do poultry, we do chicken, and of late we've also introduced some guinea fowls, and we keep expanding, we keep growing as smallholder farmers, and we want to grow together. Hit the subscribe button so that we walk this journey together. You become part of this process. Hit the notification bell so that every time we post a video, you don't miss out. You'll be among the first people to get the video. If you like it, as I've said, please share with other farmers. Subscribe, share, and we will grow together. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. We hope we'll see you again in the near future. And thank you so much. Welcome to Chicken Planet Alego. Anytime, every time. Thank you so much.